It's a busy time of the year at the Holy Rosary Cathedral in Vancouver. In just a few hours, Archbishop Richard Smith will deliver midnight mass. It will be his first Christmas as Archbishop in Vancouver since being installed in May. Richard Smith joins us in the Vancouver studio now. Thank you for joining us, Archbishop Smith.
You're most welcome. Thanks for the invitation.
What are you reflecting on this holiday season?
Oh, probably the same as every Christmas season. I reflect, first of all, on the message. The message of Christmas is so beautiful. You know, it's communicated through those great scripture texts that we hear proclaimed in churches throughout the world surrounding the birth of Jesus. And those texts, well, they reverberate with joy, and they communicate a message of peace and of hope. And I think everybody recognizes those are the kind of messages that really we could use right about now. There's hope is in rather short supply sometimes, depending on what people are going through. A lot of people carrying heavy burdens, sometimes quietly. But this Christmas message is one that can instill real hope. And that's what I find animates the people as they gather in our churches around the Archdiocese and indeed throughout the world to hear that message, to draw from it the hope for real peace, the hope for security that those scripture passages offer.
And what are you hearing from members of your congregation as we lead up to Christmas Day?
Well, as you mentioned a minute ago in the introduction, I was installed here at the end of May. And so since that time, it really has been a learning curve for me. And I've spent a lot of time visiting our churches, of course, visiting our hospitals, going to the prisons, spent some time on the downtown east side with the folks from our diocese that are working there among the people. Seeking to get the pulse, to hear what's going on in the heart's end, what inhabits the minds of our peoples these days. And I do hear that message of we need communion, we need reconciliation, we need a world that can finally find some peace, deep and lasting peace. A lot of anxiety out there, a lot of despair, and so, you know, my concern and the concern of, well, all people of goodwill is just to know how do we draw near to folks in their need? How do we draw near and show our presence, our concern, our solidarity with them, and even by our act of presence, be a reflection of the message of Christmas in that our nearness, our solidarity, please God, can offer them some hope also.
And Archbishop, the CBC's The Current ran a piece earlier this month about how more and more young people are turning to faith. Mm-hmm. This reverses a trend that's been in place for decades. Do you have any ideas of why that is?
I've been observing that too, as have many, and I would certainly welcome the opportunity to sit down with some of the young adults and ask really what's going on in their minds and hearts. I have had conversations with them in the past, and what I'm hearing is they're looking for a sense of solidity, a sense of identity, firm grounding for their lives, and for whatever reason not finding it in whatever situations they find themselves. So where might that be? And a lot are turning to faith, faith with its solid tradition, its deep tradition, with its parameters, with its clear moral compass, and a lot of them are finding security in that, a real strong foundation. And so I'm presuming that has a lot to do with the return of our young people to the celebration of the faith.
And then broadening out a bit, this year we saw the passing of Pope Francis and the beginning of Pope Leo's papacy. How significant was this shift for the Catholic Church?
Oh, it's always a significant moment when we have a new pope. Pope Francis was extraordinary in so many ways. As we know, he came to Canada. He came on that penitential pilgrimage to be with the Indigenous peoples. He wanted to communicate healing, reconciliation, peace. He, in his papacy, had welcomed the Indigenous peoples to Rome prior to that papal visit and really spent a lot of time listening to their pain and to their stories and to their hopes. And it really marked him, and it really was for him the reason, the impulse for him to come to Canada. And I've met Pope Leo since his installation as our new Holy Father. And it's clear to me that he shares many of those same sentiments. He's a missionary at heart, as we know, was a missionary bishop for many, many years, wants to bring healing and reconciliation where he can. His first words, from the loggia when he was elected were peace. Peace be with you. And since then, he has called on the world to look for means to find peace. He's called on the world to look for communion, to overcome the fractures, overcome the divisions, stand in solidarity with one another. And these are all themes that are very much in continuity with what we heard from Pope Francis.
You'll be holding the midnight mass later on this evening. Mm-hmm. What do you have planned for the people who attend?
Well, my own personal hopes right now, as you mentioned, it's my first Christmas here in Vancouver. So I'm looking forward to entering with all the people into the beautiful solemn liturgies of the church, to join with them in the singing. There'll be great singing that goes on. But I also hope in many ways to unite my heart to theirs. What I mean is, when we enter into the liturgies of the church, there's a lot that we see in the external, the liturgies, the singing, the ritual, and so on. But there's an internal dynamic within the heart and mind of everybody. People are coming to the Christmas celebration with whatever's in their minds and hearts, those anxieties, fears, hopes, dreams, and seeking to find an answer to them all in the Son, the child born of Mary. I want to unite my heart to theirs, and by reflecting together with them on the great scripture passages, announce that hope and announce that peace, announce the answer that they seek.
And then finally, what are you reflecting on as we head to Christmas Day and towards 2026?
Well, the Church, Catholic Church, is just wrapping up a Jubilee year. The year of Jubilee is declared every 25 years. And so it was done by Pope Francis for this year of 2025, and he called it to be a Jubilee of hope. Again, he had a sense that needs to be announced. People need to be helped to find reasons for hope in their lives. So I'm looking forward to working with my people within the Archdiocese to see how we can carry that message forward. What are the opportunities that we'll have to draw near to people in their need and show them by our concrete gestures, by our presence, by our words, that they're not alone. That there are people who walk with them. Ultimately, there's God who walks with them in Jesus, and they can find there a real reason for their hope.
Well, Archbishop Smith, thank you so much for taking some time on what I'm sure is a very busy day for you. Thank you for coming in to talk with us.
Glad to be with you.